Right, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this important training exercise for field supervisors. So, before we start, just a few ground rules. Is you're expected to remain muted unless maybe you have a question to ask, and then you are permitted to ask the question. You also to ensure that your camera is turned off because we are actually hosting a large number of participants for this training. So we will have a hitch-free training exercise. And also kindly introduce yourself in the chat box using your legal name alongside the state where you are deployed as a field supervisor. Please do that in one message. Please do that in one message. Don't split it into two messages. It will enable us to track and take note of your attendance. Thank you very much. For the next 4 minutes. So we are going to start officially by 1:05. So by 1:05, we would start. So to allow others who are still joining and also for everybody to settle down. Thank you very much. If you have any question in the course of the meeting, feel free to ask in the chat box. When it's time for Q&A, you will also be allowed to signify and ask the questions accordingly. Once again, thank you for joining us. All right, to everyone, thank you and congratulations. Thank you for joining us on this training exercise. To all the field supervisors across the states represented here, and to those who are yet to come, please let me reiterate that. Can't hear me. So, can you hear me, please? Sure. They can hear me. So I say loud and clear. Okay, thank you. So thank you for joining us once again, to all the field supervisors across all the state, from Abia State to Adamawa down to Zamfara State. Thank you. That's alphabetically arranged. So thank you very much for joining us. And for those who are here to join, we are still waiting. We have about 32, 31 participants already. Thank you very much for joining us for this very important training. And field supervisors, you are a part, you play a pivotal role in this project. So the success of this project actually lies on your shoulders, because you will be overseeing data collection exercise in your respective states of deployment. So that is why it is very important. So feel free to have that conversation with us. We'll be looking at the various slides and also touching some areas. We've had trainings with enumerators already for primary and secondary data. And we also have training for those who are going to engage with the key informant interview. So we'll bring in all the other information into this, because you will be overseeing all these people. So once again, thank you for joining us. Kindly introduce yourself in the chat box if you have not done so, using your legal name and your state of deployment alongside. And if your username does not bear your legal name, kindly rename yourself so that we can track and take attendance accurately. Once again, thank you for joining us. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now so we can proceed. Just a moment, please. So this training for field supervisors, training on data collection or supervision procedures for field supervisors, is organized by the IGR initiative in collaboration with DataFronteira Ltd, Abuja, Nigeria. So the project is Smart Revenue Optimization Platform, and the beneficiaries are the subnational governments in Nigeria. Thank you once again. So let's proceed. We just want to talk briefly about us, because maybe some of us may have gone online to check or to read about us, just in case you didn't get complete information about us. So this is an opportunity for you to get to know more about us. The IGR initiative is a non-governmental organization that supports subnational governments by providing research consultancy and capacity building to improve internally generated revenue. So it's a non-governmental organization, and this organization supports subnational governments, that is state level support, providing capacity building, consultancy. The end is the goal or the objective is to improve the IGR, the internally generated revenue for the state. Okay, so they're also partnering with DataFronteira Ltd, delivering tech-based innovative solutions to complex problems. So we at DataFronteira, we use data obtained from the field to make smart decisions. In this particular project, we are using the data to build models that will help, or a platform that is powered by models and is also AI driven. that will enable subnational governments to be able to make the right predictions in terms of revenue generation, and also to be able to detect the all right. Please confirm that you can hear me right now. I think we had a little glitch. All right. All right. Thank you. So let's go back. Okay. You can see my screen. All right. Thank you. So we're talking about the project overview. The smart revenue, I was talking about that it's a platform that works, it's a data-driven platform. And the models we are going to build is going to support this platform to help states, subnational governments to make informed decision, smart revenue informed decision. So these models are going to perform three functions. They are going to be used to detect leakages in revenue collection, improve efficiency in revenue collection, and also be able to predict revenue grow over time. Okay, so the data they're going to be collecting, the enumerators are going to be getting from us, they need to be accurate and reliable, because what we are going to use it for, it's something that will affect every state in Nigeria, particularly. Okay, so the scope of the project, as you can see from my screen, is across 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT. Okay, and this data collection exercise is just one of many stages of this project. So both primary, secondary data will be collected, and it will run concurrently across all the states in Nigeria and the FCT. So we have field supervisors for each state. When the program is going to commence, as we get to know the date at the end of this training, it will commence at the same time across all the states plus the FCT. So let's move on. I believe everyone can hear me and see my screen. So what are the objectives? At the end of this training, all field supervisors should be able to understand the purpose and the scope. I just explained the purpose of the project to help subnational governments optimize their revenue collection processes, detect leakages, and also to improve collection and predict growth. So also be able to understand and carry out your roles as field supervisors. You need to understand your roles and responsibilities as field supervisors, because you are a very important piece in this project, very important piece in this project. So you need to take out time to explain the project and also be able to explain your roles to you. Some have done this before, some have not done it before. Some have done a field supervisory role before, but maybe not in this particular context of data collection. So you'll be able to understand the requisite code of conduct and field ethics too, so that you'll be able to communicate it to the enumerators. Okay, so understand the survey questionnaire will also bring you to understand the survey questionnaire, so that even though you're not going to collect data, you will know the survey tool and how it looks like and how the questions are structured in the Kobo Collect application. So you also be familiar with the relevant ministries that the enumerators for secondary data are going to get data from, and also you have to understand the structured key format interview form that enumerators who are going to also engage with key stakeholders at each state level will be able to engage. So you're able to understand the key format interview, the structure of the form, so that you also be able to help out where necessary. Okay, so we are going to be looking at the roles and responsibilities of field supervisors. But before we look at that, let me just give us a refresher for those who don't know already, that a field supervisor is a trained officer responsible for overseeing enumerators, and they ensure data quality, and they serve as a link between the project team and the field. A field supervisor is a trained officer responsible for overseeing enumerators. So you'll be overseeing enumerators, three categories of enumerators. Not really three categories, but three unique categories. So you're overseeing those who collect primary data, splitted into the ones that will collect via the survey instrument, Kobo Collect, and the ones that will collect via the KII, the structured key informant interview, and also those who will be required to visit ministries at the state level. Okay, that's secondary data. So you are meant to, your task is to ensure that the data they are getting is a quality data, and then that everything that they're sending back to you is vetted and that is accurate. Like I mentioned earlier, any data that is altered, fabricated, and is not a reflection of what is obtainable in real time is going to lead us to making falsified decisions at the end of the day. So what are your roles and responsibilities? You are to supervise and support enumerators in the field, both those who are going to ministries and those who are meeting respondents on the street. You are to monitor daily data collection activities. So you are to monitor daily data collection activities. You are to ensure adherence to Kobo Collect. Now, we are going to be using Kobo Collect. The enumerators for the survey, the primary data, will be using Kobo Collect to get data from respondents. So you should also each field supervisor should be able to know and help out the enumerators if they face any issues in using the Kobo Collect application. Okay, so it is very important to ensure adherence, that every enumerator is adhering. Kobo Collect has different features with which you can use to know if a particular enumerator is doing the right thing at the right time. At least the geo coordinates and can help you to know if a particular enumerator is changing location or you're just doing the data collection in a particular location. Okay, during the interview, some of us were asked how we would ensure that every enumerator is up and doing, and how to ensure that every enumerator does not stay in one position or does not just decide to change position and is imputing data that is not, maybe they didn't engage the respondent, they're just imputing data. Well, they can change this look from this location to another location. So how you would ensure that? And some of you give us answers. We'll still talk about it in the course of this training exercise. Validate and review completed submissions from enumerators in the field, both those who are collecting primary data and those who are collecting secondary data. So you'll be able to resolve field challenges and report progress to the project lead. Now, let me pause here and say this. If you're joining this meeting or this training, make sure that your username is a Lego name. Anybody who is joining with Techno, Infinix, iPhone as the username, you will not be considered. It will not be considered that you attended this training. And this training is a very important aspect of this process. Anyone who does not attend the training is not going to be part of this exercise. So we assume you are not available. So please, as field supervisors, we expect you to be better off than, not really better off, to have a better understanding of these things. So if you cannot do it, then it means you will not be able to enforce it, the enumerators. So please kindly change your username if it is bearing a phone name or any other name that is not related to the bearer. Thank you very much as we proceed. And also introduce yourself in the chat box with your Lego name and the state of deployment as a single message. Thank you very much. So you have to validate and review completed submissions, resolve few challenges, and report progress to the project lead. There will be a project lead assigned to each geopolitical zone. So at a particular state, you have someone you report to, okay? And you should be able to resolve those few challenges enumerators are having. So, and not as if you'll be like, you accepted this role and you said you'll be available. So you don't have to be doing something else when you're supposed to be attending to the numerators field challenges. So you have to be there for them at every point in time to conduct debriefs with them and also to be able to guide them properly. And if need be, have an extra session with them where you put them through. We'll also talk about that at the end of this training, towards the end of this training. So confirm the Kobo Collect app is properly installed and configured. So at the end of the day, we'll share a link to a WhatsApp group you will join, and then you get to know those who are within the states that you are supervising. You ensure that all of them have the Kobo Collect app installed, and you also ensure that they have these smartphones, they have maybe power banks in some cases, and also you ensure that those who are assigned to ministries, that they are maybe in the right state and they are ready to go and they are fit for this particular job. So ensure coverage of all LGAs and state level data source. So we should ensure that they cover each LGA. When we get to that point where we'll tell you how many enumerators or how many LGAs, we'll also let you know about that. Confirm the Kobo Collect app is properly installed. I've talked about that. Maintain team discipline and motivation. Okay, you have to maintain Just a second, please. Can you hear me now? Mhm. All right. Let me continue with this. Sorry about the interruption. We had a little network hitch here, so it's resolved right now, so we can continue. All right. So I was talking about the roles and responsibilities. I think this is what we're looking at. So you should be able to maintain team discipline and motivation for each enumerator. And like I said, if the project fails in any of the states, we are going to be looking at the field supervisors because the project is handed over to you in your respective states. So when it's time for Q&A and other things, be free to ask questions about the project and other things. You need to understand the project. You need to understand the organization and how we function so that you'll be able to represent us well before your enumerators. Okay, thank you very much. So we are moving to the next slide, the code of conduct and the field ethics. Please conduct yourself with integrity, neutrality, and respect at all times. Okay, neutrality in managing enumerators. You will be managing a number of enumerators in each state. So please, your conduct, your integrity, being neutral and respectful, go to the enumerators. And whenever you go maybe to broker or to, help resolve a particular issue, you should also be respectful, protect respondents' personal information too, and the project data. Whatever data is collected and you have access to it, understand that it is between you and the organization, and it's only to be used for the project. You are not expected to give it out to anybody, a third party. You sign the consent form, and I know it's part of what you sign in the consent form that every data and every material and everything that is given to you for this project is to be used within the project and for the project. Greet enumerators and responded with courtesy and fairness. Be professional at all times. Because enumerators, you are like the leader, you're going to be overseeing the activities. So your professionalism should transmit to these enumerators. We've told them about being professional, especially those going to ministries to collect data. So if you are not professional, you will not be able to transmit the same thing to them. So you have to be professional at all times, communication-wise, dressing, how you carry yourself, and how you go about handling issues with them. So you should be the last person to get angry so that you'll be able to be in the right state frame of mind to coordinate these people. You are going to be coordinating people from different backgrounds, different experiences, different emotional intelligence. You have to be at a point where you are patient and you listen and you're able to absorb whatever is coming from them and give the respective or help out in any way that you can help them out in any situation. So if you're not calm and collected and relaxed, you will not be able to do that because sometimes people will be calling you from here, calling you from this side, and you feel maybe you're frustrated or something. You have to be able to manage the situation very well. That is why you are a field supervisor in the first place. Be accountable for your team's work. Like I said, if the project or we receive data that is not accurate from a particular state, it is because the field supervisor did not do his job very well. So you are expected and you are accountable for your team's work. in the state of deployment. So you should be able to report honestly. You'll be working with the project team. You report any issue transparently and honestly. Supervise without bias. Don't have bias. You may know a particular enumerator. You might know the person, maybe he's a friend or someone you worked with before. It doesn't mean you should prefer the person. There are no preferential treatment when it comes to this. Is a serious project, and we have a limited time to carry it out and complete it, the data collection exercise. So please, no bias of any type in the course of supervising enumerators. You don't need to display any form of bias. Follow project guidelines and ethics, and also prioritize safety for enumerators in the field. Ensure that they don't visit areas. There are some local government, or let me say some states, that even within the local government, there are areas that are not safe, are insecure. You should also be able to ensure that the enumerators don't go to those places that might not be safe for them. Okay, so this is a very important aspect of this presentation of this slide. So you are expected to pay close attention to this place. We are looking at the scope of your supervision per state. So each enumerator, each field supervisor is deployed to a particular state. Nobody is supervising more than one state. The state where you reside is where you're supervising. Okay, so you have this table here, enumerator category, number of enumerators, assignment scope. So for a particular state, for example, the FCT, or for example, River State, we have primary data enumerators, 6 primary data enumerators. Now, this is how it is. In a particular state, we have 3 senatorial districts. So we pick 2 local government from each senatorial district in a particular state. And since we have 6 senatorial districts, we have 2 times 3, which is 6. So these 2 enumerators, for each senatorial districts, they are going to be in 1 local government each to collect primary data using Kobo Collect app. Okay, so these enumerators, they are 6 in number, primary enumerators. They are going to be collecting primary data anyway. So they are going to be using the survey to collect data collection to Kobo Collect application to do that. We also have others who collect primary data too, like the key informant. But these particular ones, they are the ones working at the local government level. So there are 6 local governments that are covered in each state. 6 local governments from each senatorial district. So assignment scope, 1 enumerator per selected LGA. I just explained it now. So 1 enumerator per selected LGA, making 6 LGAs and 6 enumerators. So no enumerator is collecting data for more than 1 local government. Each enumerator is to collect data within that local government alone. And we did not specify a particular enumeration area in the local government. Okay, they can collect data. Those primary data enumerators, they are to sample. We are going to still give you the breakdown of the people that constitute their respondents. This project is about revenue. So anything that encompasses revenue, respondents that are within the purview of revenue, they are the ones that will constitute respondents for this particular project or data collection exercise. Okay, so the secondary data, there will be 2, and those 2 will be at the state capital. They will be at the state capital, and they will be collecting data from relevant ministries. We have done a training on secondary data enumerators before now, so they know the ministries and they raise concerns, which we are also going to discuss with the field supervisors in the course of this meeting. Okay, so then we have 2 state level agencies, ministries, and institutions that we require to visit to collect data. Okay, so we also have 1 per state. This one will also be at the state level to engage with key informants, to engage with stakeholders that have answers to the questions that will be contained in the form that they will be given. So these enumerators will do structured key informant interview. Why is structured? Because we really have the questions they will need to answer. So it's not like an open-ended, it's closed-ended. But if there are cases where they need to write they will need to write or explain. They will also need to do that. And these key informant interviewers or enumerators, they would be required to write some form of report at the end of collecting this key informant, describing for some of the variables that may not be self-explained or may not be that maybe easy for them to collect. They will have to write a report for some of the variables where they're having maybe issues, or maybe the other information that will help us understand the response that they got from the key informant interview and other things. So they have to be told, and they are actually people that know how to read, know how to write, and everybody we are engaging, they are all graduates. Okay, well, we all have different level of intelligence and understanding. So, but these ones for key informant interview, they are to be good in writing and to be able to carry themselves well and have all these qualities, professional qualities and interpersonal skills that will help them thrive. These ones will conduct structured KIIs with revenue officials at a state level. Okay, making a total of 9 enumerators. So you are going to be overseeing, each person will be overseeing 9 enumerators in the deployed state. Okay, so 6 local governments, that's the coverage within the state, 9 enumerators. 6 will be using Kobo Collect, survey collection tool or application, and they will also have key informant interviews that will go with the form. Maybe at some point they will need to key in whatever they get using the Kobo Collect app, but they will not use it when they are going for this key informant interview. It may be something they will do later on in order for us to have the unified response from the primary data enumerators. Okay, and then the secondary data, the state level agencies and institutions. So I think the next slide will be I'll bring in the agencies, and I'll bring in the questionnaire and that about that. So please, if you have questions, you can make the questions ready. At some point, we'll be required to ask to respond to questions that you're asking. And you can also drop some of them in the chat box. If there are some that can be answered in the chat box, someone is there to attend to your questions in the chat box. All right, thank you. I hope you can still hear me. Please, you can just indicate, let me know that you can hear me. In the chat box, you can indicate that you can hear me. Okay. All right, so let's look at the questionnaire or the survey tool. Why you need to know this is because you will not be collecting data per se, but you need to understand what the survey tool is like and the questions and what constitutes the survey tool. Okay, so the respondents comprise taxpayers, fee payers, and individuals who pay other forms of non-tax revenue to the government. And these are the variables we are looking at. The questions in the questionnaire help explain these variables. Taxpayer satisfaction rate, fee payer satisfaction rate, the awareness rate of fee payers, public awareness rate, and the rest of them. So I'm going to stop sharing this so that I can share the questionnaire so we get to know. I hope we are all following, please. Are we all following? Are we together? Okay, all right. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Sandy Isaac, for your response. Let me share the questionnaire. Okay, so you can see this is the questionnaire. So the questionnaire has section A is just demographic information, state of residence, senatorial district, LGA, religion, ethnic group, age range, gender, marital status, level of education, occupation, and we have the section B, where we have questions related to tax. Some of the questions that will be captured in the Kobo Collect application addressing the revenue and tax, the variables under tax. One of the questions is, are you aware of your tax payment obligations? Do you have a taxpayer identification number? Do you currently pay taxes? How do you pay this tax? Is it manual or digital? Okay. How satisfied are you with the tax payment process? Are you satisfied with the services you receive in return for the taxes you pay? So these are the questions under this section for tax that will be contained in those enumerators that will be visiting those local governments. One enumerator per local government will have this in their as questions in the Kobo Collect application, a mobile app that are going to be using to collect this data. So section C, we talk about fees. There are different kinds of fees. So we just try to make it so easy so they'll be able to collect the right information. Are you aware of your fee payment obligations? Yes or no? If they say they are aware, you say yes or no. Do you currently pay fees? Yes or no? If they say yes, the respondent doesn't have to. If they say no, it doesn't have to go to the next session. I think there's a skip logic that is involved also in the Kobo Collect application where they can skip some questions based on certain answers. So if they say they pay fees, okay, what type of fees do you pay and how do you pay each one? So we have manual, digital, not applicable. So they'll be required to choose any of this. Maybe at some point we might maybe share this with the Field Supervisors so that you also have it to help you guide these enumerators appropriately. So we have all the different types of fees: environmental, sanitation fee, judicial, legal fees. I'm just running through this because you are seeing it and it's something that is self-explained, so self-explained. How satisfied are you with the fee payment process? You're also required to choose an option. Then section D, we are looking at the non-tax payments, other non-tax payments, like fines and penalties. Which of the following do you pay? So the numerator should be able to explain to the respondents these fines and penalties, licenses, earnings and sales, rent on government properties, interest and repayment. So there are fines and penalties, there are licenses, driver's license, and other forms of license, earnings and sales. There are the source of revenue, IGR, there are a source of internal generated revenue for state governments too. So interest and repayments. There are people that are staying or they rented government properties and they're staying there. So the rent they are paying for those properties, they also collect data on that. How satisfied are you with the payment process for each of these one that the person select that is? So that's that about the structured questionnaire, survey questionnaire. So that is that about those 6 enumerators who will be at 6 different local governments within the 3 senatorial districts in each state will have these questions in the Kobo Collect application, collect data. Okay. So I will stop sharing this one so I can move to the next. I hope we are together. Are we still together? Please let me know. Let me know if we are still together. All right. Thank you, Aminu. Okay. Let's move to the next one. So the next, let me go back to this. So we've looked at the survey questionnaire. So we are going to be looking at this demography. It will help you to monitor these enumerators and to ensure that they are doing the right thing. Okay, so this is the survey demography, respondent group description sample. Now we are interested in, for you, we are interested in that senatorial zone and LGA. Per state, senatorial zone and LGA. So in each state, we are expecting 80 from informal traders. So just pay attention, very, very important. You have to understand this because at some point you may need to explain it to them. We have already explained this to those who joined the training earlier for enumerated training. We're still going to train some who were not there. So, but you have to understand it so that you can also explain it at that state level to them. Okay. So a respondent group, we have informal traders and vendors. So in each senatorial zone, per senatorial zone, we are looking at per state, rather, we are looking at 80 respondents, market traders, roadside sellers, mobile vendors, hawkers, casual workers. So we are expecting to get 80 respondents from the states, not from an enumerator, from the states. collectively. Like these 6 enumerators will be able to provide 80, minimum 80. I know when we add up the numbers, sometimes since they are not even numbers, they might escalate, but actually we need a minimum of this 80 to come from the state at the end of the day. So Osun State, apart from, I don't know if the field supervisor for Abuja, are you here? The field supervisor for Abuja. Field Field supervisor for Abuja, you're here. Okay, so for the field supervisor in Abuja, Abuja just has 6 local government, like we don't have more than one senatorial. So we are just looking at 2 local governments in Abuja. So this number does not apply to those who are in Abuja. It applies to the rest of the 36 states where we have 3 senatorial districts. So please, I just needed to point that out. So we won't go and engage those people who are. We need to reiterate it and tell those enumerators who are within Abuja that, okay, each of the enumerators within Abuja will have to get the same number, but totally, we're not going to get this 80 for Abuja since we are looking at just 2 local governments in Abuja as against 6 local governments in other states. Okay, so it's different. So please take note of that. But for the rest of the 36 states, same applies. So we need 80. So from a senatorial zone, we need 28. So you can split that. Then from a particular local government, 14, we need 14 respondents. We need 14 respondents, market traders, roadside sellers, mobile vendors, workers, casual workers. So each enumerator for that local government will give you submit 14 responses from this respondent group. 14 responses from this respondent group. Then the artisans and craftspeople too, that constitute which constitutes mechanics, tailors, carpenters, welders, plumbers. 60 per state, 20 per senatorial district. 6 divided by 3 is 20. Then we have 10. So each enumerator from each local government will give you 10 response. So from each senatorial district, you now get 20, and from each state, you now get 60. So that's fine, that's okay. Then transport operators, Okada riders, Keke riders, union members, and drivers of cars and other, they will constitute 7 for local government. That is, each enumerator will get 7, and then making 2 per senatorial district, and then when we collate it together, we should get at least 40. We should get at least 40 from the state. Okay. Then for business owners, formal, informal, shop owners, salons, clinics, hospitals, pharmacies, laboratories, etc., all forms of businesses, we need 10 responses from, you'll be expecting 10 responses or submission from this category, from each enumerator from local government. Remember, we are looking at enumerators for primary data from this local government. The KIIs are not here, second data are not here, just survey. Those who are going to be carrying out this survey we are talking about, okay? So now they'll be collecting this using Kobo Collect. So they'll be sending their submissions, and you will also be able to look at it and see it from your end. And the revenue licensing regulatory officials, we have 7 from them. Each enumerator will give 7, 14 from a senatorial district, 40 for the state. Market transport union leaders, 4. You don't have to bother about this document. We'll actually share with you so that you'll be able to look at it too closely and know what to do. So from the market transport union leader, we have 4 just 4 for each enumerator to bring out 8, 20. For states, we have 10. For service users, like those who pay fees, fines, penalties, rent, loans, and the rest of them, they constitute 10. Okay, then for firms, industry, civil servants, they make up the others category, and private sectors, 7 for each enumerator, 14 from each senatorial district, 40 from the states. All right, so each enumerator from those local government area will be required to give you, to submit 69 responses. So they will need to sample 69 respondents, making a total of 138 for each senatorial district, and then 400 for each state, apart from the FCT. Okay, so 400 from each state. So once that is completed and validated and evaluated, the exercise for the enumerators would be over, and upon validation, every exercise also will be over. Okay, so this is what it's going to be like. Like I said, we are going to send this document, this particular one, so that you will also be able to understand and look at it closely. Before the commencement of the exercise, we'll also have other engagement with the field supervisors so that we can put some things right and straight. Okay, thank you. I'll be moving to the next slide right now. I hope this is understood. So let's move so we don't take so much time. Okay. Okay, now for the secondary data, so that's that about the survey. For the secondary data, we are looking at, we wanted to know the ministries that these secondary data enumerators are going to be visiting. This is a very important part. We have the NBS and State Bureau of Statistics for each state, Bank of Industry, State Internal Revenue Service. We have the Auditor General's Office or report. We have State Ministry of Finance, State Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development. You can see my screen, so I'm fast. I'm just reading through the same thing. You can see State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, State Ministry of Justice, State Licensing Agencies, and State Accountant General's Office too. It's reports, you need to get it. They will need to get it. Corporate Affairs Commission too. So they will need to visit these ministries. Talking about the secondary data collectors, they will need to visit these ministries to collect data. Okay, so we are going to talk about this, and we are going to dwell here for a little time, so we were able to know how you can facilitate this, because a lot of them, when we train them, they raise concerns about getting to contact these organizations and agencies and ministries before they go there to collect data, to carry these ministries along so that these ministries will know what we are doing and be able to release these documents even before they go there. Okay, so they won't have to be spending their transport to go there and come back, and they tell them to go and come back the next day. Okay, so the field supervisors are going to help out in this. We are not in these states. We are in Abuja. We are not in all of these states, so we are not going to be there. So you are an extension of IGR initiative, the IGR initiative and DataFronteira Ltd in Kwara State, Osun State, Kogi, Lagos, and all the states. So you are going to work with us virtually and work with them in person to schedule or to broker, to make sure that these organizations, we are definitely going to send through you letters to these organizations, but you're also going to play your part in ensuring that these organizations are carried along and that this data, they are provided. So let me stop sharing so I can share the screen for the variables that they will need to get data on. So I also want to ask at this point if everyone is following. Thank you, Amina. Thank you, Vitus, Salisu. All right, thank you. Olua, Femi, Peter, Kinsoroye. So let's look at these ministries and know the variables. Okay, so we are collecting secondary data. There are some of these data that we ourselves we are going to get from our end online. Like what's available online. It's available in online repositories, but some of these data they are archived, they are contained, they are found in these ministries. Some ministries don't even have a database where they upload these things. So they are there as files, as documents. So that's why these enumerators will need to go there. For some, they're granted access to get in the repository. For some, they'll be given it a soft copy or hard copy, or whichever form they'll be getting this. So these are the data for each of these ministries, organizations, and agencies. From the MBS, these are the variables. We've also shared with them, and we are going to work on them to see how we can make them unique and also bring in the metrics, measurableness into these variables so that they also know what they are collecting. Okay, urbanization rates, per capita income, you can see my screen. So that's what they're going to be collecting from the State Bureau of Statistics, private sector, dependency ratio, frequency of transaction. A particular document can contain multiple variables can be contained in a particular document for them. So from the state IRS, they have a tax payment process, percentage of tax payment. They'll have to get information on the tax payment processes that they have introduced technology in, the tax payment processes that they have introduced technology in. So that will help us to know and calculate the percentage of the tax payment process that has been digitized. We are going to customize this because this one you're looking at it from our end. So we are going to customize it so you can be able to get it from your end. Because we have also brought in metrics, like you can see rates, collection rates. So you make this, edit this and customize in such a way that it will be understandable by them and also the field supervisors. Okay, so the digital collection rate per fee source, number of registered vehicles and the rest of them, monitoring frequency of staff training. So these are the variables they are going to be getting from the state IRS office. The Auditor General's report, so you're going to get um, audit frequency, percentage of taxpayers audited, getting all this discrepancy in fee collection data on them. So if you as a supervisor also have people in those agencies, it will also help to facilitate the collection process. Okay, you just let us know so we can do the needful. State Ministry of Finance, number of online payments. So these are also the variables for the State Ministry of Finance. Fee income generated per fee source, staff to asset ratio, viable assets investments, central the recovery status, and the rest of them. So State Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development, we also have number of revenue generating assets. We have occupancy status, we have outstanding arrears, we have tenancy turnover frequency, we have rent renewal, we have like all of that. They are part of the variables. We've explained this to them already during the training session we had with them. Okay, so that is the secondary data enumerators. From the State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, we have infrastructural growth. So they have to go there and get the data on infrastructural growth. These data sets are meant to be time series. They are meant to be time series. So we are backdating to 20 years. 20 years. In cases where it's not available like that, we should also be informed. But normally we are backdating 20 years. HDI backdated to 20 years. Status of legal reforms from when they started it, backdated, current. Status of policy reforms, number of prosecutions, quarterly, yearly, whatever form it comes from them is still fine, but it should just be backdated as a time series data. Okay, so state licensing agencies, number of licenses issued, license renewal rate, fines collected, cost of tax collection. We have the Corporate Affairs Commission, number of registered traders, number of registered businesses, number of active businesses. And also we have the Bank of Industry or the CBN where they can get this loan processing time if it's available. So let's talk about how this could be made available so that this exercise is slated for 3 weeks. And like we said earlier, it could end before 3 weeks, depending on how much time it takes for each state to deliver and each supervisor to ensure that everyone is up and doing and delivers in time. So, and accurate information and data is also collected alongside. So we're looking at how do we engage? How would you ensure that these data sets are made available? Some enumerators raised concerns. Some enumerators raised concerns during the them going to collect data from these ministries and then giving them data as archives of files, and a lot of them will have to, since it is a backdating information, they need to get data from 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. So how would they be able to, if they're even going to scan it, it will take time to scan. We're asking how they're going to collect the data. So we're looking at the field supervisors reaching out to these ministries to inform them that these people are going to come alongside us, in collaboration with us, inform them that these two secondary data enumerators, they are assigned to collect this data. So you inform them that these people are going to come, and if you have anybody there too, it will make it faster. If they have this information, you just send them the variables. They organize these data sets. If there are files or they need to make scan copies, whatever it is, they should just make. If there are issues that require maybe payment or whatever to make those scanned copies available, you can also reach out to the project team for that. Okay. So whatever will make this, I believe the field supervisors, we have experience, varying level of experience. So you should be able to make it work. Whatever will make it work faster, contacting them before time so that they will not go there and then this ministry will not tell them, come next week and we just have 3 weeks for this. So you'll be able to before time contact them. These people are coming, find out about the availability of this data, and they should keep it, and also be able to explain the importance and relevance of this project to these ministry agents or the officials who are going to be giving out this information. Okay, in case where you have someone there, the person can also help to make the whole process easy for the enumerators. So we don't want the enumerators to be going there every day and then spending their transportation. So we're talking about transport costs and other things that are coming. So for you, the field supervisors, you going there will also be every day. If you need to go there after putting up a call in person, you go there maybe once or twice just to liaise with them and have a common ground or rapport with them so they'll be able to release this information. Okay, so that is what we'll be doing as a field supervisor at the state level, getting the secondary data collected by these enumerators. Okay, so like I said, we are going to discuss this further with you. At the end of this, a WhatsApp group link will be shared at the end of this for just the field supervisors. The enumerators have their own WhatsApp platform. So we share that for the field supervisors so that any other issues will also be able to resolve it there, and you also be able to communicate to you. So we'll share the link towards the end of this. So you stay to the end to get to join the WhatsApp platform. Okay, so I think that's that about that. Involving the key stakeholders, the field supervisors who use, who collaborate with you to engage these key stakeholders in each of these ministries to know about this data availability and also to prepare this data so that this will come and then get it. All right, thank you very much. You will also be required to, at some point, sensitize and also give debriefs to these enumerators before setting out each day. Okay, following them up, especially those collecting primary data in those local governments, so that they will not go and fabricate information. Some people are very lazy, and some of them will want to do this in 1 week and collect the money and go. So you have to ensure that each of these enumerators, they are doing this, they are up and doing the right thing. Okay, so please, it is not as a supervisor, you just don't go to bed or you go about your own business and then you will not pay attention to the enumerators calling or requesting for certain information from you. So please be available. We ask and request that since you have decided to work with us for this project as field supervisors, no matter how the amount of money you're going to be paid, we see this as also something that is for people who are passionate about helping their states and helping the local government at the state level, helping the different agencies and the government to optimize revenue. So we want you to put in your best and put in your interest and put in your time and your commitment so that in subsequent projects we'll also be able to engage you if there is need for that. So please I would also share the slide for the key informant interview form. All right, so at this point again, I would also like to know if you are still following and if you can still hear me from the chat box. All right. I just hope that some of us did not turn on the join the meeting and then we we are not doing anything. We just join the meeting, mute us, we are muted, so no video, and then you're doing at going forward, we are going to know if you actually are participating. Somebody is laughing. I hope you are not. Some persons will just join and then they will let him just be talking. Said, I hope you are not a victim. December, I hope you are not. So all these people laughing, you are a suspect. You are a suspect. All these people that are sending laughing emojis, you are a suspect. You just turn on join. After all, nobody is seeing me. I'm not talking. So let me just go about. But I know we are all responsible people and we are doing the right thing. Okay. So I will share the slide for. Let me share my screen now so we can get the other information on the key informant interview form. So this is what we have. This is the structured key informant interview for the enumerators. We're using this to collect data to engage key officials in relevant ministries where they will need to visit to get this information. So they will need to get information, or some of them may need to just go, and you will also help out with this, knowing when they are there, and they can just go and drop this and get it filled up. It will be sent as a document, so you print it out and then give it out to the enumerators so they can go with it. They can drop it, and then get it maybe later something. So it's something that these people can fill, or they can also do the interview. Normally, it's meant to just be an interview. If it is possible, unless people are very busy, they can. But if it's possible to get engaged with these people one-on-one, that is the best approach to this. So how frequently is the inflow of revenue monitored? For fees, daily, weekly, monthly, we want to get monitoring frequency for each of these revenue source. Fines and penalties, earnings and sales, tax, interest and repayments, licenses, rent on government properties. Then are monitoring activities guided by documented procedures or schedules? We also would like to get information on that. What about technology adoption? What is the status of technology adoption in managing each of these revenue sources? Tax, fees, earnings and sales, licenses, rent on government properties, fines and penalties. So is it fully automated? Is it partially automated, or are they doing manual collection? Okay, to also help us. So what are the major challenges to full automation? So this is an aspect of primary data. It's just that this one, they don't need to go, it's not at local government level, it's at the state level. Okay. So do they have funding constraints? What are the major challenges to full automation? Funding constraints, staff capacity, infrastructure, policy gaps, others. So if there are others, they will need to write. So these people are literate, so they'll be able to write. Like I said, they may need to put up a report on some of these variables, explaining the data and the information so that we'll be able to understand what they are getting from these people, from the respondents, from the officials. So Treasury single account adoption for tax only. What is the status of TSA adoption for revenue related to tax? Is it fully adopted, partially, or not adopted? When was the TSA adopted? When was TSA adopted? The month, the year? Are there challenges in the implementation of the Treasury single account? If yes, they should specify. They will need to write it. So taxpayer identification number implementation, when was it implemented? What is the status? Has it been implemented in that state? Yes or no? If it has been implemented, when was it implemented? Is TIN mandatory for all taxpayers in the state, or is it only for selected taxpayers? That's okay. Are there challenges in implementation of the Treasury single account? also important. If there are additional notes or comments, you can also do that going forward. So this is the key informant interview form for those who are going to be doing key informant interviews. At the end, they will need to write a report on some of these variables that require further explanations, on some of the responses they got that require further explanation. So I believe that's okay. That's fine for now. So let me stop sharing this. So far, so good. So for those of us who are not responding in the chat box, it is assumed that you joined and you just left your phone with us and you are doing your own business. Okay. So that is why at some point at certain points in the training session, we will require you to just make your input and respond if you can hear, if you're following, if you have questions. So whatever the case is. Okay. Okay, Victoria, you are with me full time. Thank you for being with me full time. Your bond is okay. Let's look at this. Let's go back to the first document. I think this is not the one. Please hold on, please. Okay, so we've talked about the key informant interview. We talked about so I think at this point in time, we'll just take some questions and then we'll discuss further and then we can call it a day with this training or for this training. So the timeline for data collection is 3 weeks maximum, and they will need to report all concerns to you and you report to the project team, and communication can be done through calls, WhatsApp, emails, as the case may be. All right, so we'll be taking the questions now, Q&A.
What is the protocol for engaging?
The person can break it down. Protocol.
Engaging the stakeholders. Let that be sent.
Okay. Yes. I thought the person that was the Okay, I can see Michael Daramola raised his hand.
All right, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation and for the explicit explanation. It was quite straightforward. But I have a few questions. So first, when you were presenting the primary data collection tool, I observed, so under the question around tax, how do you pay tax, right? I think the options are manual and maybe digital, right? So, but the preceding question was whether they are taxpayers or whether they pay taxes or not, right? Which had a yes or no response. So for those that are selecting no, there's no option for them to pick there's no option for how do you pay tax. For those that are paying tax, it's either manual or digital. So those that selected no in the previous question should either have not applicable or something like that, right? So, but that is not in the option. I just thought to bring that up. Then the second question is for the communities that the primary data collectors will be visiting in the local governments. So for example, somebody that is supposed to collect information from maybe 7 people regarding a particular set of persons, can they collect that information from only one location? So let's say they get to Kuto in Abeokuta and they need to just collect 7 responses, right? Can they collect those 7 from people within that same locality, or they have to spread it across different communities? That's another question that I also wanted to ask. I think you were mentioning for the secondary data, you mentioned collecting report from Auditor General and Accountant General. Right? Maybe the question about time series across 20 years answered that, but I also wanted to confirm, just for clarity, the report they're also collecting, is it going to be across those 20 years as well, or is it specific to a particular time? Right. So those are the questions that I have. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. So you asked about, if I remember the last question, of course, they are backdating it to 20 years. Collecting information within a particular location, yeah, it depends. If you go to a particular location and you sample hawkers, of course, when you want to sample, I know the concern you are raising actually is valid. So it's possible that we just want to make sure if they can find those people they want or they need, the respondent within that location, then it's fine. They can do it there. These are local governments, and some local governments have hotspots. There are places where you just have to find these people, and you may not find them in other places. So they will have to be in those places where they can find these people. So if they find these people, maybe like you mentioned, in a particular location, they can sample them and they don't have to say, okay, we didn't specify any enumeration that when you do this number here, you now go to another enumeration area. No, as long as it's within that local government, it's still fine. Okay, so they don't have to. So the location stuff on the Kobo Collect will also help you to know that they are in that particular place. So that somebody will not give some people have the tendency to actually not be out in the field and then they want to do the collection in their room. So that's another thing. So, but you're able to know, okay, this person sampled this number of persons and he sampled this number of persons from this particular location. Okay, and actually engaged. And the time of submission and other things was also, the other question you asked about do you pay tax? Now, the enumerator should also know that I think there are some questions that should come, they should have with them before even engaging anybody. Okay, because you have to ask the person if the person you have to know if the person is a taxpayer first, or or is paying either of these fees or other revenue before you even start in the first place. You have to, because if the person does not ask and then he has filled the form to a point, he has filled demographic information before going to ask if you're a taxpayer, and the person says no, fee payer, no, it's invalid. So you should be able to let the enumerators know that the first question they should ask, the first thing they should know is this respondent paying tax or fee or any of this? That is the first point. So if they ask the tax payment first and the person says no, they can now ask, okay, fee. That is why they need to be familiar with all those other filters that are listed. You pay fees, you pay this, you pay this, you pay this, so that we can know the basis on which they are going to be engaging the respondent. So they don't have to ask somebody, take somebody's details, religion, occupation, and all of that before going to ask, do you pay taxes? They will be structured it in such a way that when we explain to you, you'll be able to explain to them too. So you don't have to start with, do you pay tax at the first question you pay. But I'm explaining to you now something that they will need to do from their own end while collecting this data. They will need to ask the respondent which of these they pay, so that they can now know, okay, if the person says he pays tax, you can now know, okay, on the basis of the fact you pay tax, you can ask you questions on tax. If the person says does not pay tax, he pays fees, we know that, okay, we can see. If the person does not pay anyone at all, he's not a respondent. So there's no point to start taking the person's occupation and age and gender, marital status and religion, ethnic group. As I don't know if you understand that. So please, it applies to everybody. Thank you very much. You raised the question. So it's very important we have that. That is why we didn't include some of those other this because normally any respondent you're meeting should be a taxpayer or a fee payer, or either of these revenue sources the person is paying. If the person is not in any of this category, then he's not a respondent. Even if the person is an artisan, he's not a respondent. Okay, so I don't know if I have addressed all the questions. If there are anyone that I have not addressed, you can still point it out, Mr. Who asked that question again? Did I address your question? Please, all your questions. It's not muted.
What is answer?
You're muted. Can you mute it? Who asked the question? You can just indicate or you comment in the comment section or the chat room. A chat box can just indicate. Let's know if you've answered it.
You say you address it.
Okay, so if we have
Another person.
raising hand, okay, Vitus, okay, it's okay, please.
Good afternoon, Mr.
So,
Osu.
Vitus, please, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gosu, for the presentation. It was very much explanatory. So I think you did a very nice job. So I'm the field supervisor for FCT. So from the table there, actually most of the stuff there are not, should I say, they are not applicable to me. So I'm trying to understand how it should be with regards to that. For instance, I'm meant to understand that the total LGAs in Abuja is 6, right? So there was a time you addressed, you spoke to me, you were telling me that the focus in Abuja will be just 2 local governments. I don't know if I got that right. Okay. So now with regards to the primary data, that other states that the primary data will be coming from 6 local governments. So the FCT now and primary data will be coming from just 2 selected local governments. I don't know if I'm right.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'll just trying to confirm if my assumptions are right.
Yes, but each enumerator will be required to still give the same number. The 69 is still applicable to the enumerators in FCT, just that since we are doing 69, they add it together. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, so we still have two enumerators from those 2 local governments. So they will still do the last column in that table still applies to FCT, the one that has to do with the LGO. So 69 for each enumerator. So 69, instead of the other ones doing 69 times 6 rather, you will just do 69 multiplied by 2. And then from there, we will get to this. Actually, that will be the amount and the total you're going to be needed or will be required from the FCT. Okay, so I don't know if that answers your question. So that is a different thing altogether. It's very simple and straightforward now. So we have 2 enumerators. Each of them will bring 69 respondents or submissions or responses. So that will be all for primary data at that level. Okay, so we just have 69 plus 69. I think that should be around is it 138, 148 if I'm not mistaken. So around 138, I guess. So if they have that, that would be 138 for Abuja instead of 400 as applicable to other states.
Noted, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Someone was asking if, I don't know if you haven't answered it to the chat box. The person was asking about the engagement, if there will be letters sent. Of course, the letters will be passed through you as a field supervisor to those ministries. So, Simon.
Rosemary.
For Rosemary, whoever is the next person, please let's hear your question. Can you unmute and then talk? Ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I
So
think I can
can
hear you
anyone
better
hear
today.
me?
Yes, please. Go on.
Okay, I asked the question about the protocol which you responded to. So when is this assignment supposed to commence?
We will tell everybody when it's going to commence before the end of the training. We just want to address other concerns.
Oh,
We
all
will be
right.
told before the end of this training when to commence. So if there are any
Okay.
other questions, I can see Simon or whoever. I don't know who's next on that. Simon, please ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the training. It was a good one. Thank you so much. My question is, as we have been trained now, I believe the enumerators to, like you said, some of them have been trained and some of them you still work on the training for them. I just want to believe that they understand in depth the content of the training that we're giving to them. And I'm happy because the way you have explained it, we have a very controllable number of people to work with. So I want to beg that they also understand what is at stake here, because if they do not understand what is at stake and we are trying to encourage them and supporting them to do the needful, they may not respond the way we are expecting, and it may lead to delay in executing the project, or it will hinder us not having the right data that is needed for this project. So I will beg that if they should be made to sign the consent form that they are ready to ensure that this project is achieved. Also, on the agency and the government offices that will be working to get information from, I want to beg that we send, aside the data, maybe a summary of what the, aside the data that will be given to us, maybe a summary of what this project is all about should be made in a very clear way for them. Because recently I was involved in the project to get the letter, to get information from the government office. They will tell me the letter I come that I should go to the secretariat and go and sign before they can attend to me and all this. And it delayed the project. I was able to achieve, but it delayed the project on my own side. So I want to beg that the letter should explain what we want to do. And because we are getting information from 20 years, not information of now, like you mentioned, information from 20 years, how they've been doing it, because some of them may be looking. Our dad did not give us approval to release this information. So I want to encourage that from the office in Abuja, a well-detailed information stating what is expected from them is released through the letter that will be taken there. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for it's very, very important. We, like I mentioned earlier, we've had this training with enumerators. We had yesterday, we had this morning before this particular one for the field supervisors. So we'll still do for that of the key informant interview, and then also do a mop-up for those who were not there. And then we also believe that by the time we assign these enumerators to each field supervisors, you also be able to have your own common room where you'll be able to relate with these enumerators, and also do your own bits in explaining the project. We've explained the project to them. For those who we cannot ascertain their understanding level, but we were able to explain the project, the objectives, and everything to them, and how they are meant to go about it from our end. For those we've already trained. So, but from your own end, you understanding the project and how it's important and how you spell it out to them. you make sure that they get it and that they are hitting the ground running in obtaining this required information. So we've taken note of what your suggestion and all that. Definitely in the letter, the project, everything will be explained, forwarded to all the field supervisors, and then we will require to, and then engage with these people who are secondary data collectors, ensure that they dress appropriately, they dress culturally sensitive, they should be culturally sensitive in their dress. We understand that there are some places where some kind of dress pattern can make you unfavorable. They may not be favorably disposed to attend to you in some of those places. So they should also know how to carry themselves and have those qualities and interpersonal skills that will help them to also, even though the letters will be sent, the individuals will not go there and then misrepresent the organization. So we don't want to hear an issue of someone exchanging fisticuffs, someone fighting and other things because of trying to get data or saying things that shouldn't be said. Okay, so that's it. I believe that is clear. If there is any other person, please, you can ask your question.
Before we look at those raising hand. So considering the system methods will be deployed across different LGAs, should the supervision to be conducted from the answers, given that
Let's read it out on your.
also,
Yes, please read out. There's a question from the. So let's just get it.
So considering that 6 enumerators will be deployed across different LGAs, should supervision be conducted remotely or on-site? Given that a person like myself is based in a state capital and frequent travel across LGAs may not be feasible. If remote supervision is preferred, what approach would you recommend for effectively managing this process?
Okay. All right. Thank you for the questions. I think we talked about some of this during the interview with some field supervisors. So we are in this is a digital age, and we do expect you to start for some states moving from the state capital to some of the local government. It's a journey on its own. Like it's a journey on its own. So we are not expecting you to move from state capital to no. Okay, so as a field supervisor, we asked some persons during the interview how they intend to manage this across all these local governments, seeing that they will not need to go to these local governments to start chasing enumerators. They are not chasing anybody or going there like, so there are several strategies, even some field supervisors pointed out that can be used. Like I said, you would have a group that you create for all the enumerators assigned to you in that state, where you relay information to them. And at some point, they might be required to send pictures representing that they actually did one or two. Every day, they should be able to send at least a sign or something that is going to come back to you as an evidence that they actually went out and did field work today. Okay, like that. Other ones you can monitor is remote. You are going to, sometimes you have to call friends. You ask them to send you pictures on WhatsApp. There are different platforms for you to do that. So you know which one works best for your particular state. But what we want to see is we don't want you to try. I think the only one you can maybe go it's at the state level where you may need to go to if need be go to the ministries at some point to do one or two things. But you cannot, if we say you should travel, I don't think you will be able to, you would want to move across 6 local governments, going and coming and following. So there are only rare cases where a field supervisor is required to be in a local government. Very rare cases. And we hope that such cases don't really occur during this exercise. So you will monitor the whole thing remotely. For those within the state capital, there is an enumerator in the state, some state capital cuts across different local governments. So there will also be enumerators who will work within those local governments that, like we have I think in Badan West or something. There are local government like that that are part of the state capital, while there are some state capital that themselves they are local government. Calabar Municipal, for example, I don't know if the enumerator for or the field supervisor for Calabar is here or Cross River is here. The Calabar Municipal is a local government. So there is a primary enumerator, data enumerator in Calabar, plus 5 extra. So plus the state capital, that's 6. Then we now have the 2 secondary and the 1 key format interview, making it 9. So that's it. I think that answers your question. So we can now hear from
Okay.
King also Peter. No. Please, Akin Rosoye, Peter Femi, I'm correct. You can unmute and speak and ask your question now so we can begin to wrap up this. Have you unmuted the person? Who is the person? Akin Rosoye, okay. Let me see.
That's okay. Unmuted.
Please, you are muted. Can you ask your question?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I've been
Yes,
trying
thank
to
you.
unmute. So, hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please go on.
Yeah. So, I actually have a concern, but it has been raised by Mesoma Victory, and then you've done justice to the concern, which is because I know it's more like.
Oh, my network, can you hear me? Hello? I think
It's
is
fine.
is it from there?
No.
Hello? I don't think I can hear you. Hello? I think we lost him or something. Oh, okay, that's fine. So I think I can see Bello Ahmed. Just let's hear from Bello Ahmed since Peter is no longer here.
Hey, good afternoon, sirs.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Thank you, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the wonderful sections. I have a question, and my question says that concerning the secondary data that the enumerators were going to ministries and different agencies. So I wanted to ask that who is the targeted respondent in these ministries, so that it will at least give us a guide that, fine, this is the person the enumerator is talking to. But in case this person is not available, then you can talk to this person. So that will help us from just picking anyone at random and conduct the interview. That is one. Then secondly, I want to suggest that since we're working in a whole LGA, is it possible to curb responses, to curb bias responses? Is it possible we sample at least 3 markets in a particular LGA to conduct in the primary data collection? So, in that, we'll be able to spread it across. The respondents will be able, the responses will come across from different kind of people instead of sitting down, because we could have a situation whereby an enumerator will just sit down in a spot since has been given the opportunity to, sample a market and conduct the whole interview at random. I'm just saying, if it is possible, we sample at least 3 markets to curb such situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the first question is, I don't know if you're asking about secondary data, you're asking about key informant interviews. Because for secondary data, you are not interviewing anybody. Secondary data, you're going to collect what they have already collected and stored. So when you get the field supervisor, there are actually the structure of that particular ministry organization. There are people that have this information, and sometimes When you meet them, they will refer you to. So we cannot tell you, okay, when you go, when you meet the HR or when you go. I think for your own end, you know the states. Some of these things might be peculiar to some states. So you actually know that in this ministry, these people that collect secondary data, this is the ministry they are going, and this letter will be addressed. I think the letter will be addressed. So when the letter is coming, it will be addressed to someone or someone's office or some anyhow. So that is how it's going to come. Okay. So, but if you're talking about key informant interviews, they are going to sample revenue officials within the ministry to people that they know have that information. Okay, which we are going to resolve before the commencement of this exercise. Okay, so they will know that I'm going to conduct interview. We just want to compare. So maybe 10, 12, it's okay for them to just virtually it's the same thing they're going to be getting. So we just want to compare and to ensure that everything is. And then you raise the second point about the biasness and non-biasness. Of course, it's very okay. Like I said, someone talked about staying in a particular location. There are some local governments that are very small. So, but if the local government is maybe a state capital, of course, you should move around. There are so many places you can find taxpayers, and the person shouldn't stay in one spot. So that is from your end as a field supervisor, you know these local governments, you reside in that state, and you'll be able to tell them this is how data should be. It shouldn't be collected just from one spot. Okay, so that you will be able to capture the views of different people from different locations. Different locations can actually affect their responses depending on the variables we are considering. So it's very important they also look at those different locations. But there are some people that are saying their local governments it's just one area that maybe they can even find these people. That is also another issue. That is also another. So it is peculiar to states and also peculiar to each field supervisor to get to know. Ensure that the enumerator who is going to enumerate or collect data from the state capital as a primary data enumerator will ensure that he goes to those markets we're talking about. There can even be more. You can set it up. If you understand data, you pointed this out, so it means you understand what data biasness and non-biasness is about. So just let them know that. Don't just go to Ogbete, for example, and just sample Ogbete because everybody's, it's like everybody's buying and selling Ogbete. So when you enter there, you just get it. You can move from there to another area in Enugu to get people if you are in Enugu, for instance. Okay. So if you are in Abuja, you will not just stay in one location and then you fill up everything because you don't want to spend money to go to another place. No, it's very important to do the right thing. So I believe I've addressed that. For the key informant interview, they are just officials that have the information and they can find their way through that, ask questions, and then know, and they'll be referred to relevant offices for these key informant interviews. Okay. All right. So I believe, I don't know if your questions has been So for those asking about logistics, we'll talk about at the end of this, we'll bring in money aspects, if there is any. Okay, Rosemary Okora, for please, maybe we can hear from you. Rosemary, hello, Rosemary. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. I think there's someone else. Rosemary, is she talking now?
Sorry, it's an old hand. I spoke earlier.
Okay. So let's hear from Abubakar Yusuf. Abubakar Yusuf, you can unmute yourself, please. Ask a question. Not you. Abubakar. All right, so I believe maybe there are no other questions. I don't know if there are any ones in the chat box. All right.
In need of submitting any information also after the exercise.
So and every submission is meant to be within the time frame. Within the time frame. So this exercise will be going on at the same time across all the states. So they should not submit information after 3 weeks. It should be within the time frame, please, for someone raising that concern. Okay. So for logistics, for someone who was asking about logistics, we are not providing accommodation for you. We are not giving you food. You sort that out. You are asking what about logistics in general. So I don't know which one you're looking at. Is it transportation? Transportation, you don't do a lot of movement as a field supervisor now. I don't think you really do a lot of movement. Everything should be strategized and planned. So you don't move out without any objective or goal. You're just going. So you in the dispatch of your duties, you also plan your movement and everything. We understand that transportation is costly here and other states. So if there is need for anything to make it more comfortable, we'll also be there if there is need, but there is no specialized or special provision to cover maybe transportation or something, unless there is need for you to travel long distances. Maybe there is a particular issue that you need to maybe move to a particular local government that is very far to resolve, there we can come in. But if it is just you discharging your duties as a field supervisor, the onus is on you actually. Please make this thing work. But before we close, this exercise is meant to start. Okay, before I say that, we were meant to bring in, we've taught the Abubakar Yusuf. I thought we omitted you and then you were not there. Don't worry, you asked a question. We have trained the enumerators on how to use the Kobo Collect, for those who are going to use the Kobo Collect application. So for the field supervisors, I don't know if there's any field supervisor here who does not know how to use the Kobo Collect application or does not have a Kobo Collect account. So we would know, we will signify, because during the interviews, we saw a lot of persons were saying they've used it before and supervise, because at some point you will need to help these enumerators resolve if they have any issues or challenges. So we will know how to tailor that in. So we might have a section where we'll be put through this Kobo Collect process, maybe via the WhatsApp platform and other setting up and the modalities involved. Sort of bringing it in here right now. So is there anybody, just let us know if you are not familiar with that. We'll still reiterate this when you join the group or the platform, please. So we'll be able to know, make sure everybody's carried along. Who is raising the hand? Are you raising the hand to ask a question? Okay. Abubakar Yusuf, let's hear you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. I have like 2 questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
All right. I'm asking for the field data collection. I mean, those who are going to the communities to conduct data collection, and also for the secondary data collection. So I'm asking, is there any prior advocacy conducted for this project specifically for smooth community entry and also for these ministries and agencies? Thank you.
Yes, every form of advocacy, I'll address that before you ask the second one. Every form of advocacy is going to come through the field supervisor. Like I said, there are so many things we have to put in place. By the time we are done with this training, there will be a group chat just for field supervisors with the project team. So we will look at that and you can raise your concerns there. We'll look at how we can come in together to collaborate to bring in this advocacy and maybe legitimization where necessary for these communities. We understand there is need at some point to do legitimization to allow for that exercise to take place in a particular community or local government. So it's part of what we are going to be looking at collectively. Okay, so you can ask your second question. Hello, Abubakar. You said you had two questions. Is he muted now?
Well, you should
Unmute yourself if or the questions have been answered, so we need to wrap up this.
Okay, I have
next
been
7
trying to
minutes.
unmute. Yeah. The second question is about the specific communities that we are going to, these enumerators are going to collect data within each LGA.
Hello, can you come again? I didn't get you.
Okay, I said the second part of the question, since you said we are going to discuss extensively on this, then the second part of the question should have to wait for the other discussion.
Okay.
Thank you and over.
All right, okay. So, someone else, anybody doesn't have any? One or two. Sedi. Sedi. It's okay. Yeah, Sedi Isaac, you're not familiar. You will get to be familiar with it. So whoever that person is familiar with the Kobo Collect, except for Sedi Isaac. Reshi Eje. So when you join the group chat, study the modalities and other things we send to you, the procedures and how to get it installed and working will also be given to you. Other information working with the Kobo Collect will also be made known to you by the facilitator for the Kobo Collect application installation for yesterday's training. Reshi, I think, is he unmuted now? Let him ask his question. I think that's the only question we have. We need to close up in the next 5 minutes. Please unmute yourself, Reggie. Am I pronouncing your name well? Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Be audible.
Please, how do we address identification for the enumerators at the LGA level? And then for the letter of introduction, can the data required be attached to the letter of introduction so that those that are collecting data at the state level, that those two enumerators can have easier access so that the data can be assembled before they get there? Hello, can you hear me?
I think I'm muted. Hello, yes. I said these are the things we are going to address in-house. The link to the WhatsApp group must have been dropped by now on the chat box. So you just join in. We're expecting to see 37 persons in the group. So apart from the project team. So we'll discuss that in-house and then we know how we're going to go about it. We don't want to keep everyone here beyond time because we are approaching 2 hours for this training. So if we keep talking and talking and talking and explaining everything, it's going to keep us here till 4 p.m. So we don't want that right now. Okay, so every other question and concerns and every arrangement will be made and discussed within the group chat setting, okay? And then move forward. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. So the time for the project will commence on the 6th of October, Monday, 6th of October, in all the states in Nigeria, including the FCT. So the project will commence on the 6th of October. So between now and that time, we'll be able to put into place the underground preparation, background preparation, to enable a swift, efficient, and also a timely data collection exercise across the states. And we are counting on every field supervisor to please be efficient and go back to the drawing board. You yourself can go back, plan and think, strategize. How am I going to ensure that all these enumerators are doing what they need to do? What's the strategy to these ministries? What's the strategy? You can bring in your own ideas, bring your own thoughts. You are living in these states or you reside in these states, you know these states better than we do. So you'll be able to give us information. You'll be able to give us information about what is obtainable in this state. So for those who are just joining, 6th of October, this exercise would kick off. All right. So thank you very much. In the absence of any question, another questions for Sedi Isaac. So every other person is familiar with the two except for Sedi Isaac, field supervisor for Enugu State, Nigeria. Thank you very much. Maybe we would incorporate you in a training session that is that has to do with that, and also share the slide guide for that, setting up the Kobo Collect on the platform, so you can also use that. Other things that we need to do about the Kobo Collect will also, like I said, like the facilitator for the Kobo Collect yesterday will also come in the group chat to make explanations where necessary. So we don't want to take this meeting beyond this time. So we want to appreciate every one of you for turning up and for this. Thank you for joining. Thank you for turning up. Thank you for, I hope you all introduced yourself in the chat box. We look forward to working with you for this project. So if you have any suggestions, ideas to make it better in the group chat, you can also suggest, as you'll be allowed to say, express your views. Once again, thank you. And once again, congratulations for making it to this stage of this exercise, recruitment exercise. And thank you for accepting to be part of us. It's like you being passionate about this and giving in your best for it. Not just about the money, but that you are passionate and you want to see that these things work. The money might not be that much, but we are looking at helping subnational government. So we want you to play a part in helping subnational governments in optimizing their revenue collection process. So once again, thank you and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye, everyone. So the remaining 5 or so or 10 minutes, you can use it to join the group chat. You can also use it to connect if you need to with anyone. Well, we are done officially with this training session for today. Thank you very much and have a nice day.